Let's see. I have to find my clicker. Well, as we come back together, I want to share with you guys a video. And this is one of the resources that's on our DVD. This is the one that has the Kill in the Dark documentary on it also. And I have run out of copies, and so I'm waiting for them to be shipped to me. So I can send some your way after I get them. I will make sure and get them sent out. But this is one of those videos that we have the opportunity to use.
Malaria is bleeding a continent, draining the lifeblood of a people and its future dry. Every 45 seconds, the death of a child. Cow dung is burned, a hopeful antidote for the mosquito's bite. And still they die, millions of lives needlessly lost each year. A fragile and vital imprint of humanity. A continent, entire nations slipping away, slipping through life's precious net. Unless you hear the buzzing inside of you, the unmistakable and until now barely audible call to get involved, to give, to imagine a world with no malaria, and then engage with thousands of others across the globe, making it real. Medicine. Communications. Infrastructure. Outreach. Healing. Sustaining life one person at a time. Finding meaning and purpose for ourselves and others in return.
It's time we all join hands with Africa on a personal mission to heal. Imagine no malaria, then make it real. Over 1 million lives we're going to save, but only if you get involved today. The bed nets have been cast, but people can't slip through. Listen to the buzz inside of you.
The bite of malaria doesn't have to kill, but only if you stop it. Imagine no malaria. Imagine saving millions of lives.
I think one of the great things about our videos is that just as soon as we get them published, our statistics change. And so, but that's also a great opportunity to talk about the progress that we've made. When we started Nothing But Nets, we talked about a child dying every 30 seconds and 45 seconds in this video, and now we can talk about every 60 seconds. And I can't wait until those statistics change again and we get to, you know, change all of our graphics or tell the story a different way all over again. So. Well, for this part, we're going to talk really about how we engage our congregations. And in order to get folks to really understand this program, I think we need to wrestle with these 3 questions. And so we're actually just going to do some talking around the table about how we would answer each of these. And so our first question really is, why malaria? Why are we tackling malaria and not world peace? Or why not another disease? Or what is it about malaria that causes us to take it up? How would you respond?
Because we have the knowledge and the resources and the capabilities to actually to do it.
Yeah.
We just line up and do it.
We know it needs to be done.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Not that we're not involved or concerned about other illnesses, certainly AIDS. Yeah. But this is one we can really tackle. And because most of us care about kids, I mean, by far the majority of fatalities are children.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was talking with some of the folks at the African Methodist Ministry in Cedar Rapids, and one of the people we talked with, I can't remember, I think he was from Tanzania, or he was in Tanzania. He was in charge of a ward at a refugee camp, and I mean, they were refugees because of war. But I asked him why malaria was so important, and he said it's because malaria kills our babies faster than bullets do. And that just kind of struck me. I think about kind of the way that war and violence can affect those nations, and yet malaria is the issue that really was important for him, for us to address. So, Any other thoughts about that one?
Well, economically for Africa, on the other side, it's one of those illnesses, while adults are less likely to die from malaria, that doesn't mean that they don't get sick with it.
Yeah.
And it dramatically affects the productivity of the nations of Africa, which has a cyclical effect. It makes them economically less able to be able to deal with all of their other issues.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've heard stories of families having to make the choice about who gets to eat that day because they need to save money for malaria medication, or a farmer who sells his cow to help save his child's life, but then that source of income for their family is gone. Yeah. It is a part of that cycle of poverty that if we can stop it, who knows what can happen. Absolutely. How about the second one? Why the United Methodist Church? Why don't we just leave this to the governments? Why our church?
Well, one of the things that I know as a church official is that one of the issues we always deal, unfortunately, both in the local and national level in too many places, is that there is corruption. And so when you try to rely simply on the political systems, too much of the resource gets diverted away from where it needs to go.
Absolutely.
That's one big reason. The second is just the same reason that you announced that Bill and Melinda Gates chose United Methodist Church, is because we have clinics, we have infrastructure, we have community involvement, and we have a church governance system, both that is international and that is also multinational in terms of Africa itself.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, the United Methodists are known not to just be there and then leave. We stay for the long haul.
Absolutely. It's not a project, it's a commitment.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else about who we are as Methodists, or even just people of faith?
I would say that to me it speaks to our theology. It's in our DNA.
It's who we are.
Yeah. Wesley wrote some crazy book about healing and home remedies, and yeah. Healing is part of who we are. That's for sure. I think something else, this is a great chance for us to talk about the global nature of our church. You kind of touched upon this, but I think a lot of people don't realize how fast our church is growing in Africa. And sometimes we use that phrase, well, we should take care of our own first and then worry about others. These are our own.
They are our own.
I think that kind of, when we talk about that global nature, we realize our connection and our brothers and sisters are going through this. Someone else told me, I thought this was really interesting, we did take care of our own. We wiped out malaria here, so now it is time to do something over there. So I think that was a great connection too. Why this third question? Why imagine no malaria? This is both a question about kind of why are we even using these words to describe our campaign, but also what that stirs up for you, that phrase and the idea of what we get to do. More abstract question.
Well, for me, it just means setting up the stage for success for the people. And just imagining what possibilities will be.
Yeah.
And isn't it kind of an old Beatles song?
Imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, what can I
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
That's what my mind went to.
Yeah. You know,
And
I
there's a
don't.
whole
Yep.
imagery along with that song.
There is. There is. And I don't know if around the table when they named this campaign, if they thought about that song or not. But that song for me always, you know, it really brings up images of Revelations.
Mhm.
You know, the place where there's weeping and tears no more and no sickness and just beautiful images. And we get to be a part of that imagination with this project.
Well, and everything worth doing, in my understanding, always starts out as a dream, or it takes place first in our imagination. Something biblical about that too.
Yeah.
Well, and then I mean that's in the name, but in terms
Yeah.
of beyond the name of what we're doing is the fact that it's a recognition that if we're really going to make an impact, and I think this is something I think the church has to do more of. It's not something that we have to tackle ourselves,
No.
but if we can at least take a place at the table,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we have something to offer beyond the end itself in terms of no malaria, but also the understanding of community that our Christian witness brings, and that really, I mean, also part of our heritage, our DNA, is that the gospel takes full root when it involves both the head, the heart, and the hands, or all three, I should say.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm really glad you said that. One of the scriptures that I know is used in coming up with this name is Ephesians 3:20, that talks about how God can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine. And I don't think I made this connection until you said that, but if we think about imagining a world with no malaria, and God can do so much more than that, it really is that relationship building. It's that connection that allows us to then share our faith and build these churches. And I think when I started thinking about that scripture, I was always thinking about, well, God will heal a lot more people than we think. But really it has to do with what more besides just the act of healing do we get to be a part of. Well, thanks for wrestling with those questions with me. I think anytime we get a chance to kind of settle into that in a deeper way, it really helps us understand who we are and what we're doing here. In the same way, our calls to action also need to kind of take root in us. If you got up and gave a great presentation and you ended it by saying, well, let's go out and advocate and raise funds and engage our community, it would probably fall pretty flat. So I actually want us to turn to page 22 in our handbooks. We're going to do some jumping around. Page 22 is in our section that talks about some resources. And this is actually an outline for how to give a presentation. So if you are an ambassador who's called up, or if you're a guest preacher and you need a place to start, this is a great outline to follow. But I want us to focus on this call to action section. In our call to action, we need to make it personal. At the beginning, we already talked about our personal connections with this program and with Africa and Malaria. Why are you involved in this ministry? Why is it important to you? We also need to make that biblical faith connection. We are people of faith, and we do this because of that. And so making that connection, there's a number of scriptures there. We also need to talk about that imagining piece. Laying out that dream and that vision. Talk about the amazing things that we get to achieve together. I want to invite us to take 5 minutes and to spend some time thinking about what you would say in 30 seconds to close a presentation. You get to pick if you want it to be a youth group or worshiping community or a UMW group, because you'd probably say something different depending on which group you were in. And think about those 3 things. Make it personal, make it biblical, talk about what we can achieve. if you need some additional help, I've got a few Bibles there. And on page 30, there's also another whole section with some more biblical foundation pieces, some Wesley quotes that help us also as we think about this. So take 5 minutes, so until 8 o'clock, come up with your 30 seconds for how you would invite people to respond to that call to action.